Crash course on HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. First, create an HTML file, demotest.html. Open this in the Sublime Text 3 text editor. Ensure it works and we can visit the demo test page in our browser. Right-click the page and view its source code. In our editor, add some markup. This is the HTML document tags. Next, add the header tags and body tags and save it. The markup tags do not display in the browser, just the body tag contents. It is important to include a title tag to our web pages. Now we can add some markup elements, which are building blocks. The div tag and the span tag. These are basic display elements. It is possible to inspect the web page and elements by opening the browser's page inspector, usually by pressing keyboard F12. Here we have our div and span elements. The div stretches to the end of the right side of the document. The span breaks upon the end of its own contents. Now we can add some style guides to our elements. Add a style attribute to our div and span tags. Our first rule is rather important, the display rule. In this case, our display rule has a block definition. This means the element's display mode is block. There are a predefined set of display modes. These are some basics. Both the div and the span elements reach to the right side of the document, so they are pretty much the same styles now. If we change the display mode to inline, both elements will break at the extent of their own contents. To further examine these basic layout controls, the element content should extend beyond one line. Lorem is dummy text. An element with an inline display mode will always wrap right to the extent of its own contents, line by line, even if we add a definition for its width. An element with a block display mode will apply the dimension styles. However, a block display will also always extend across the whole row of its display container. Even if we remove the line breaks, the display mode definition will break into rows on its own. We can apply a small black and red border to our elements. A third display mode is Inline Block. An inline block element applies the dimensions of the style rules and breaks at the extent of the style rules. So it is possible to have two elements that have many lines of content inside, setting side by side each other. There are more display modes for better layout control. This is just a basic introduction to 3 simple yet important style guides. It is possible to declare a set of style rules at the document level instead of at the element level. In the markup, just add a style tag and put all the style rules and definition within those tags. Here we create 2 classifications, block 1 and block 2. Classes are defined with a dot at the beginning. Our styles have been removed from our elements. To apply the styles, assign the class to the elements using its class attribute. It is also possible to assign styles to an element's ID attribute. To assign a style to an element's ID, one must use the hash symbol, then assign the ID to the element using the ID attribute. Here we define div1 and span1 as IDs. A third way of assigning and defining style sheets is by using an external CSS file and importing that CSS file. Here we can cut the style sheet from the document and paste those style rules into an external document, mystyle.css. Then link to the CSS file from our HTML document. This link imports all those style definitions within the document. If the external style sheet is modified, the new rules will still apply to the HTML document. Finally, we can add some JavaScript to our web page. To add JavaScript, we use the script tags. Inside our script tags, we add some JavaScript, in this case a function called doAlert. This function will be called when div1 is clicked by the user. An alert box will display that reads clicked div1. In the second case, JavaScript is written directly into the element tag, like this onClick handler added to the span1 element. Both functions work the same in the browser. It is possible to call JavaScript from the browser console too. Now, another function is defined, which accepts an argument into this function. This is the doSpan function, and it accepts a message argument. The span1 onClick attribute calls doSpan function and passes in the argument hello span. The doSpan function accepts the hello span message and displays an alert box. It is possible for a function to accept as many arguments into itself as a developer would want. In this case, we will add one more argument, a console message. This console message will be passed in from the onClick handler hello console to the doSpan function as the CS message. And finally, we have a display of the console message in the browser console when the span1 element is clicked. One can also edit element styles from JavaScript. In this case, we are going to edit div1 and span1 styles. We can also edit span1's inner HTML markup too. So when span1 is clicked, all these JavaScript updates take place. It is also possible to keep all the JavaScript in a JavaScript file. Here is a file called myjs.js in our demotech directory. In this JS file, I paste the functions we just wrote in the demotest.html file. The click handlers must be within the HTML document, but the myjs.js file is included in the HTML document header. When the page is refreshed, it still behaves just as before, and the markup reflects all of our updated code and files.